Formula One heads to Monaco this week for its first Grand Prix of the year in Europe. Let's look at the circuit, its history, and things to watch out for this weekend. First, some news. Last week's Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix at Imola was cancelled because of the devastating floods in the region. The circuit is right by the river, and parts of it were flooded. New qualifying rules regarding tires were set to take place at Imola. Under current regulations, drivers could choose any tire compound during each segment of qualifying. As per new rules, the following tires will be mandatory in each segment: hard in Q1, medium in Q2, and soft in Q3. And the number of dry weather tires available to each driver will be reduced from 13 to 11. This change is now set to take place at Silverstone this summer. Honda announced they will be making a full return to F1 in 2026 as the power unit supplier to Aston Martin. Though they officially withdrew from F1 in 2021, they are still the engine supplier for Red Bull and AlphaTauri until 2025. After that, Red Bull will partner Ford in developing a next-gen power unit for both teams until 2030. In other news, FIA announced a new rule change that will be implemented this week. In a bid to improve safety, speed limits will be enforced when double yellow flags are shown during safety car and virtual safety car periods. Until now, the rule was for drivers to slow down, not overtake, and be prepared to stop. This year will also be the first time that F1 will be in charge of TV coverage of the Monaco Grand Prix. Until recently, Telemonte Carlo was in charge of production. Monaco was the last race where production wasn't handled by F1 in-house broadcast. Now, let's look at the circuit and its history. Monaco is perhaps the most iconic of all the F1 circuits. It is also one of the oldest. The first motorsports race in Monaco was held in 1929 and the first F1 race in the inaugural year of 1950. Along with Indianapolis 500, which also takes place this Sunday, and the 24 Hours of Le Mans, it is part of the Triple Crown of Motorsport. The circuit runs along the narrow streets of the Principality. It is the shortest track on the calendar at about 3.3 kilometers or 3.4 miles, and has a race distance of about 260.3 kilometers or 191.6 miles, and an average speed of 168 kilometers per hour or 104 miles per hour. But it is the track with the most laps, 78. It is also the slowest circuit on the calendar with the slowest corner, turn 6, the famous hairpin turn. The circuit has a total of 19 turns. It has no gravel or runoff areas. It features many elevations and tight corners and is also the narrowest circuit. Three-time F1 world champion Nelson Piquet famously likened driving in Monaco to riding a bicycle around your living room. This makes Monaco the circuit where it is most difficult to overtake. This would mean that the pole sitter is the guaranteed race winner. However, that hasn't been the case in about half the races over the years. Pit stop strategy and weather often determine race outcome, as we've seen in some memorable races. Let's look at a couple. A rain-filled 1984 Monaco Grand Prix saw several retirements and a brilliant performance by Ayrton Senna in his debut year. Driving for Tolman Hart, a midfield team, he qualified 13th but stormed through the field to finish second behind Alain Prost. He also set the fastest lap of the race. Senna would go on to win the Monaco Grand Prix a record of 6 times, but 1984 remains one of his most impressive results. The 2008 Monaco Grand Prix was another rain-filled affair. Lewis Hamilton and McLaren qualified 3rd. Ferrari's Felipe Massa was on pole. Hamilton hit the barriers and punctured his right rear tire on lap 5. He rejoined the race in 5th place. Then, a mistake by Massa, a safety car, and McLaren's fuel and tire management propelled Hamilton to his first win in Monaco. Perhaps one of the most entertaining spectacles of the past 2 decades was the 2006 Monaco Grand Prix. Kimi Räikkönen went back to his yacht after retiring from the race on lap 52. Now, let's look at the things to watch out for this weekend. Will Red Bull extend their winning streak? They come into this weekend as the dominant team, first in constructors' standings with 224 points. All the Grand Prix so far this year have been won by Verstappen and Perez, and they also won the last two Monaco Grand Prix. 2020 was cancelled due to the pandemic. Last year, Perez qualified third behind the Ferraris of Leclerc and Sainz. The race was delayed by heavy rain and started behind the safety car with every driver on wet tires. Perez was the first to pit and switched to intermediate tires, which allowed him to overtake Leclerc. Once again, rain is in the forecast for this weekend, so it will be interesting to see which strategy Red Bull will employ. Monaco is also a street circuit, so it could once again be an advantage for Perez, as most of his wins have come on street circuits. There are 14 points separating Red Bull drivers, and there's major talk already of Perez being a world champion contender this year. Can Alonso score his maiden win with Aston Martin? Aston Martin have been the talk of the year, from the bottom of the midfield last year to second in the standings so far. Fernando Alonso has finished third in 4 out of 5 races this year and was fourth in Baku. He is a 2-time winner in Monaco. Teammate Lance Stroll has also had a solid start to the season with 3 top 10 finishes. Aston Martin so far have performed better on slow corners than Red Bull this year. Perhaps this will give them an advantage this weekend. Will Mercedes' new upgrades deliver? Mercedes were due to reveal their new designs at Imola. There was also talk that they wouldn't introduce the changes at Monaco. Among the major expected changes is the modification of their side pods. Mercedes opted for a slim side pod design in hopes that it would help them reduce drag and enable better flow over the rear of the floor. So far, they haven't achieved the desired results, but have maintained that it's not due to the side pods. Before Imola, Mercedes didn't reveal many details about their upgrades, but said that there would be a new front suspension and aero upgrade. They are currently third in constructor standings, 6 points behind Aston Martin. Among their active drivers, Lewis Hamilton has the most wins in Monaco at 3. Both Hamilton and Russell have had a solid start to the year with several top 10 finishes and a second-place finish for Hamilton in Melbourne. Will Charles Leclerc score a win at home? Ferrari are currently atop the midfield, fourth in constructors' standings with 78 points. Their last win in Monaco was in 2017 with Vettel winning. They're second behind McLaren for most wins in Monaco at 10. Their best results this year were Leclerc's third place in Baku, where he was on pole, and Carlos Sainz's fourth place in Bahrain. Leclerc is hoping to turn his qualifying to race luck around this weekend at his home race. Just as in Baku, Leclerc was on pole in Monaco in 2021 and 2022, but failed to convert them into wins. For Sainz, Monaco has been one of his most successful Grand Prix so far. He finished second in 2021 and 2022. Sainz gave fans quite a scare this week when it emerged that he sustained a leg injury during a soccer charity match in Monaco. For a while, his participation at the Grand Prix was in doubt. However, on Wednesday, Sainz reassured his fans that he didn't suffer a serious injury and was good to go. Can McLaren get back to its glory days? McLaren hold the constructors' record for most Grand Prix wins at Monaco at 15. This week, their cars will feature a triple livery to celebrate their past victories in Monaco, Indianapolis, and Le Mans. However, in recent years, the team has been a shadow of its former self. It features the youngest driver lineup this year with Lando Norris and rookie Oscar Piastri. After the first 2 races this season, McLaren were at the bottom with 0 points. They turned their fortunes around in Melbourne with Piastri finishing 8th at his home Grand Prix. Next week's race in Baku saw Norris finish 9th and Piastri 11th. However, the streak didn't extend to Miami, where they finished 17th and 19th. Still, they're currently 5th in constructor standings with 14 points. Lando Norris should be confident going into the weekend. He finished 3rd in Monaco in 2021 and 6th last year. The Monaco Grand Prix takes place on Sunday, May 28th. Hope this video helps you get ready for the Monaco Grand Prix. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like this video and consider subscribing to the channel for more great F1 content.